that you can still read here about the rules of this parking spot on the Lidl parking area. So what do you think about this one here? And now I'm recording with the Huawei P60 Pro, also 3.5 time lens here, and this is the same sign that we saw earlier. I think still readable at 15 times zoom. So the zoom lens, 3.5 times zoom, a bit more haze on the P50 Pro, a little bit less processing and sharpness, where the P60 Pro is a bit sharper, less hazy, a bit too over processed. I prefer the P50 Pro because I can make it a bit sharper still, but the P60 Pro is so much over processed that I cannot make it a bit softer. When it comes to the zoom in for 10 times, it's changing a bit on the P50 Pro. It's getting a bit sharper, and I prefer the P50 Pro here over the P60 Pro, where we don't see much of a difference here, but you can see that the P50 Pro is a bit less processed, had the more correct color here, especially for the red, which, yeah, the emergency calling red is like this and not like this darker kind of red. And I think also the text is a bit clearer here on the P50 Pro. The difference in terms of, like, yeah, how close we can get here is simply in the sensor that is used. We have a 16 megapixel photo here thanks to the 64.5 times zoom by default, with P50 Pro is lacking. When it comes to 30 times zoom, I was also showing this on Twitter, it's a night and day difference, it's a generational difference. The P50 Pro is simply ways better than the P60 Pro. You can see it already, I don't have to zoom in, but even if I zoom in, you can see how much better the P50 Pro is here in every way and shape or form. Not even readable, this is readable. Yes, the P50 Pro crushes, destroys the P60 Pro when it comes to zoom 10 times and beyond, and I can show it to you, prove it to you. Yes, we have 100 times zoom, again the same kind of story. I can show it to you here, again different white balance, crushes, destroys the P60 Pro when it comes to zoom 10 times and beyond, and I can show it to you, prove it to you. Yes, we have 100 times zoom. But we can see a bit of a difference in terms of white balance and colors. So we have much warmer colors on the P60 Pro that are actually more accurate, because the sky color looked like this, not so bluish. It was a completely different day on the P50 Pro than the P60 Pro, which is like more realistic. When it comes to the sides and sharpness, there both basically on par, not much of a difference, but the center sharpness is a bit of a difference. Here the P50 Pro is a bit better than the P60 Pro, even though the colors are a bit better on the P60 Pro. Look at the green grass, maybe a bit more process on the P50 Pro. The P60 Pro is doing a better job. When it comes to the side here, we get a bit of haziness on the P50 Pro, but also more details in the shadows, where the P60 Pro is crushing the shadows a little bit thanks to a higher contrast. So overall, I cannot give a win here. Both are basically on par, just a simply difference in rendering. And I have to say, if I see this here also with a little bit less color punch in the wide, super wide angle shot here, I prefer the P50 Pro a little bit.